So today I'm back in the garage with the Golf. Finally. So a while back I had an intermittent squeak on startup, and it was only on startup. After I drove it even for a few minutes, it went away. And I convinced myself that I found the source, but now I'm not so sure. After doing some other maintenance on the car, I was under it and I noticed a leak. I traced it up and it was the water pump leaking. So today I am going to tackle the timing belt and replace the water pump and see if that squeak goes away. So to start, I jacked the car up and drained the coolant, and I do like that they make it easy to do that. Then I released the tension on the accessory belt and then pinned it in place with an Allen wrench. I do like when cars let you do this. And then removing the accessory belt was easy, so I just took it off and set it aside. So then I got to the business of removing everything that would get in the way of me accessing the timing belt and water pump. That's the coolant reservoir and all the connections and hoses and mounts that are on the right side of the car. These two little screws here hold down the reservoir.
I look like I was born. What show was that in New Orleans? Was up the beach why I came out like that, please. This was movement. You expect they wouldn't do. I did squats twice a week. So I did 20. So you still like 10?
Some of the connections are underneath the reservoir.
Yeah, look at the day. I think it's gonna change hands every time. And it probably never will. Yeah, you gotta have it.
When it was time to remove the mounts, I made sure to support the engine from below.
What weight were you in? 220? They keep below 6 to 7 miles. Okay. You were talking, we talking great. You got to work there. You had to go get I got you go to college, you graduate, I think you graduated cum laude of my life, okay, so what do you want? You got a college, you got a degree, it's in accounting. Yeah. You came to Dallas, you started, became a police officer, and the rest is kind of job in accounting. Okay. I went on a lot of interviews. I'm like, oh man, you got no money, I need no pizza. Graduated in accounting, graduated cum laude, and I'm delivering pizzas and throwing newspapers.
When it was time to put the engine at top dead center, I had to replace some parts that I had removed when I was trying to troubleshoot the squeak originally. So if you're following along because you have a car like this, you won't have to do this. You see that? And it's hard to get a good camera angle of this one, but there's another bolt in there that I forgot. Let's see if I can get to it. So the bolt is in here. So I either have to jack the engine up or down, and it looks like going up will be closer. That allows me to access it from just in here. And after I got it started, I'm gonna go ahead and back it out the rest of the way with my hand. But yeah, that one's kind of awkward. I wonder, I'm gonna do some reading, some research and see if there's an easy way to do this. And when you take the last bolt out, the bracket just wants to fall. So let's see how I'm gonna get it out. The last time I did one of these, I had trouble figuring out how to get it out too. All right, let me take these hoses off and see. So short goes to the... You know what? I'm going to remove the timing belt tensioner and see if that makes it easier, because this is a pain. Just use the 12mm ratcheting wrench. Let's see if that helps. So the timing belt is loose. See if I can just slide it off nice and easy. And I don't know how much that helped me. It helped a lot. So I'm going to drop this bracket all the way to the ground. There it went. All right, so that's off, and the timing belt is about to be off as well. So I can pull the timing belt off under here. So to free the timing belt, I'm going to finally release the tension on that to let it swing back, and that will allow me to take the timing belt off. Now that was the accessory belt tensioner. It just was blocking the water pump pulley, so I couldn't snake this out. And this is the timing belt tensioner, and I'm going to take... I didn't mean to drop it, but I got a new one. Yeah, this is it right here, and it's got a funky cam in it. It's getting replaced. So I was chasing down an intermittent squeak, and I think I found the source. This is my water pump, which was leaking a little bit as well. You hear that? I think that was the squeak I was getting. You can imagine it spinning at, idle RPM. But once the engine was running well, the squeak stopped, so it was tough to diagnose. So I believe, even though I got it to stop, I believe I incorrectly diagnosed it when I was trying to find it a couple of years ago. So to make the water pump a little easier to get to, I'm going to take off the accessory belt tensioner. I believe this is a 13mm socket. I opted for the ratcheting wrench, at least to loosen it real quick. There it is. So now I'm going to remove the water pump bolts. There's one right up here that you can't see, but there's one there and then one on the bottom. Now this should come off. There might be a bit of water behind it. I think I would learn. You even heard me say it. There's probably going to be water, and I have a pan less than 2 feet away. Could have saved some mess. But I get so excited. I see I'm about to get the part off, and it's like all systems go. So this is the old water pump, and this is the new one. Apart from the obvious difference of plastic impeller and metal impeller, you can see that this was leaking, because beyond the O-ring, there should not be any gunk or gick. It should be dry. Now, wet from taking it out, but you can see that that stuff's been there for a while. I'm going to check the block to see if there are imperfections that would have allowed this to leak like this, because the seal to the outside world happens with that O-ring. As you can see, the old O-ring is flat and the new one is round. I need to apologize for the shakiness of the camera in this next section, but I was using the light on the camera to inspect while I videotaped. Looking back, that was not the best move, so I'm sorry. Well, you can see where coolant might have leaked out, but it does look like the seal surface can be cleaned. I am going to make sure that I clean the inside of it up really well. Don't really see any pitting or anything that can't be cleaned up. So I cleaned it up as best as I could. I wiped and wiped and wiped, but there's still a stain on the inner surface, but it is clean. Very, 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 very little is coming off on the rag now. So I am going to go ahead and install the new water pump. Now, I usually clean off threads with thread tracers, but when I don't have them, I use a wire brush, and it works pretty good. So these get torqued to 132 inch-pounds. And that is one new water pump installed. It's a Saturday evening and my wife wants to hang out, so we're gonna have a good dinner and relax. I'll be back. So the next morning I got back and picked up where I left off. Next up was the timing belt tensioner. And after I got it in place, I realized I had the wrong timing belt. There were two that came up for my car and I chose the wrong one apparently. So I got the right timing belt. The T296, not the T262 or something like that. Getting the timing belt on is pretty straightforward. I just made sure that I didn't move the cam gear or the gear on the crankshaft. So I'm 99.9% sure nothing moved, but I'm going to verify that my timing marks are still where they need to be. Cam gear, it is, well, it might have moved a skosh, but it is very, 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 very close to where it should be. So it is off in the same direction as the cam gear. So I'm going to just put enough in that I can rotate it and line everything back up because I think it's in time, just not at top dead center. So I'm gonna do that real quick. So I'm just gonna rotate it such that that top timing mark that you can see there, I hope you can see it, is lined up, and then I'm gonna go check the other one. So it's right there. And the timing mark on the cam gear was lined up as well. All right, I'm gonna see if I can get this. So what I'm gonna do is put these little pliers in here and rotate until those two things are lined up. And that would be the proper tension. All right, so let's see. This is hard for me to see too. I think that is it. So now the trick is see if I can tighten that nut down enough for it to stay. All right, see if I take it off. That is very close, but I can't see because this is not the perfect angle for it. So you see the game I was playing. You want the valley to match up with the peak, or you want the bottom of the V to line up with the top of the A. After a few tries, I got it lined up. This picture is not a straight on shot, but you can see that everything is parallel. So I called it good. And this needs to get torqued to 15 foot-pounds or 180 inch-pounds. So that's what it is going to get. So now the timing belt is installed and the water pump is installed. So now I just got to put everything back together. One last thing, a sanity check just to make sure everything stays in time. Just rotate it around a few times and make sure all the timing marks line back up again. So don't be like me. This should have gone on when I was putting the water pump on. It goes behind the timing belt, but I'm not taking the timing belt back off. So I'm gonna see if I can get it back in just by removing this or just rotating it around. Yeah, I'll just take it off. Yeah, I think that'll work. One of the water pump bolts actually goes through this bottom one here. I think. Yeah, the top water pump bolt goes through the bottom hole, and another little bolt that I took out goes in there. I did not show the removal of that, but I did take it out. So I just commenced with the rest of the reassembly. But what I haven't mentioned yet is that I did have a new motor mount. I bought all new motor mounts when I was doing the clutch, and I never disconnected this side of the car. So I get to install the new Black Forest motor mount.
Where would you get that resistance from? That's something we apply. Resistance. Right, so like all of that runs on maintains resistance. So anywhere you can find resistance. That I mean, there's a lot of yoga stuff that I'm relatively strong. There's a lot of yoga poses and things I can't. In terms of muscle mass, if you're not stick guys, you'd like to you eat a certain way. They are very good at working on muscle mass that all covered before the podcast.
Yeah, removing that one tube was a key.
But we're not necessarily.
I thought these were getting in the way, but no, just this one.
Don't expand on that, and also.
Long, small bolt up front. Short, small bolt in the rear. Almost all the way down, but not all the way down because I want to have enough play to put the other bolts in. And these are both the same size. Now, it says torque these to 44 foot-pounds and then another 90 degrees, and these to 18 and then just to 18. So I don't know exactly what to torque them to, but I'm gonna torque them. And mount to frame, it says 30 foot-pounds and then another 90. I'm just gonna do the 30. At some point, I remember the instructions for the Black Forest industry mount saying just torque them to 44 or 30 or 32 foot-pounds, and I've since verified that that is what's recommended. Oh, dadgummit. Another pointless bracket, but it needs to go there. When I'm reassembling my older cars, or really any car, I'm just always thankful when I have all the bolts and I didn't break anything when I'm putting everything back together. This was going pretty smoothly. Little bracket.
And so, what it's you're not going to fall over and break a hip and spray.
Okay, everything is almost back to normal. The little screws that hold down the water reservoir, I think I knocked them both into Never Never Land.
How much is enough? And but so what does it take to achieve that kind of fan?
Where did this plug in? It goes right here. These aren't the screws that were in there, but they fit, so I'm gonna use them. It's a shame because I really like using the original stuff, but I gotta go to work in the morning, and I'm ready to be done. You know what I mean? G40 coolant for Volkswagen. Let's see. Here's the test. Will it squeak when I start it up? I am happy to say that the squeak is gone, and I've put hundreds of miles on it since, and it runs flawlessly. So I am very happy. I will continue to document all the work I do on my Mark IV Golf on this channel. If you would like to follow along, hit subscribe. If you would like to see the things I've already done to my Golf, check out my playlist. Thanks for watching. Take care.